On the 6th of January 2021, 53 Hong Kong pro-democracy activists, former legislators, social workers and academics were arrested by the National Security Department of the Hong Kong police force under the National Security Law over their organization and participation in the primaries for the subsequently postponed Legislative Council election, including 6 organizers and 47 participants, marking it the largest crackdown under the National Security Law since its passage on the 30th of June 2020. The police also raided 72 places including home of jailed activist Joshua Wong, the offices of news outlets Apple Daily, Stand News and In Media HK and Polling Institute Hong Kong Public Opinion Research Institute, and froze more than $200,000 in funds related to the primaries. On 11 and 12 July 2020, the pro-democracy camp, organized by legal scholar and activist Benny Tai, held a primary to select numbers of candidates for the September Legislative Council election to maximize the chance for the pro-democrats to achieve the 35+ majority in the Legislative Council, to block the government's bills and pressured the government to implement the 5 key demands of the ongoing protests. Tai envisaged that the Democrats would veto all bills in the legislature to paralyze the government, and would force the chief executive to dissolve the Legislative Council after the government budget was vetoed, as on the 4th and 5th stages of the 10-step Lam Chow timeline. Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Eric Sang warned that the primaries might violate the new Beijing-imposed national security law before the primaries. Sang said one of the objectives of the primaries was to win a majority of seats in the legislature, and subsequently vote against the budget. He added this could contravene clauses in the new law prohibiting secession, subversion and collusion with foreign powers. Benny Tai refuted the claim by saying such advocacy work was in accordance with the principles of the Basic Law. He added that vetoing the budget would not constitute seriously interfering in, disrupting, or undermining the performance of duties and functions of the government under Article 22 of the new law because the chief executive has the power to dismiss the legislature and call a by-election. Despite the national security law and legal threats, over 600,000 voters, including 590,000 electronic ballots and more than 20,000 paper ballots, turned out throughout the 2-day vote, more than 13% of the total number of registered voters and far exceeding the organizers' expected turnout of 170,000. Chief Executive Carrie Lam issued a strong warning to the candidates and organizers of the primaries, saying it was subversive for them to vow to seize control of the legislature and vote down key government proposals, if this so-called primary election's purpose is to achieve the ultimate goal of delivering what they called 35+, with the objective of objecting or resisting every policy initiative of the HKSAR government. It may fall into the category of subverting the state power, one of the 4 types of offenses under the national security law, she said. A spokesman for Beijing's liaison office in Hong Kong condemned the opposition camp for ignoring the Hong Kong government's warning of possible legal breaches and pressing ahead with the primary. It named Benny Tai as a suspect in a possible breach of the national security law by coordinating with the opposition camp to seek control of the legislature, vote down the budget, paralyze the government and subvert the state power. It also accused Tai and the opposition of aiming to take over the city's governance by staging the Hong Kong version of a color revolution. The Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office accused Tai of illegally manipulating Hong Kong's electoral system, challenging the new national security law and acting as a political agent for foreign forces. In the morning on the 6th of January 2021, the National Security Department of the Hong Kong Police Force raided 72 places including home of jailed activist Joshua Wong and co-organizers Hong Kong Public Opinion Research Institute and law firm Jose Y and Partners, demanded 3 news outlets Apple Daily, Stand News and In Media HK to hand over information and froze $206,000 in funds related to the election. In the operations, The police arrested 53 men and women including activists, former legislators, social workers and academics who organized or contested in the primaries across the pro-democracy spectrum on suspicion of subversion of state power under the national security law. They included organizer Benny Tai and jailed activist and primary candidate Joshua Wong. 7 former legislators of the Democratic Party, the Hong Kong's largest opposition party including the party chairman Wu Chi-wai, veteran politicians and activists Lung Kwok Hung and Claudia Mo, and newcomers including Jeffrey Andrews, a social worker serving